Hello again, my name is Benton Foreman, and today I'm going to talk to you about another networking utility called Netstat. Now when you run Netstat, what you're going to get is a display of all the statistics and all your current TCP IP connections running on your computer. Now to run a Netstat, what you're going to do is you're going to hold down your Windows button and then press the letter R on your keyboard, and that's going to bring up the run window, and you're going to type CMD and press enter, and that's going to get you your command line. Now Netstat's a pretty simple utility, but it gives you a lot of important information. So you'll type Netstat. Now anytime you're in the command line and you want to know exactly what a command can do, but you're not 100% familiar with it, you can type the command and then a space and a question mark, and it's going to give you all the stats that you need to know on that command. So in this situation, it's going to show you definition of the command, which I already told you, displays protocol statistics and current TCP IP network connections. And then it's going to give you all of the parameters that you can use with it. Now all these parameters are going to do is affect the way the information that it gives you is displayed on the screen. There's a few that I'm going to run. My favorite are going to be Netstat-A, which what that does is displays all connections and listening ports. Netstat-B, what Netstat-B does is it shows you the executable program that's behind the connection being made, whether that's Firefox or whether that's your antivirus software or whatever it is that's making the connection behind the executable behind the connection that's being made. The next one is going to be Netstat-N, and I'm going to show you a couple of Netstats here. And what Netstat-N does is it makes the connection run, or it makes the Netstat run a little bit more quickly, because when you run a Netstat, let me give you an example here. We're going to do Netstat-A, so this is going to give us all of our connections and listening ports. And as you'll see, when we press enter, it lists off a few, and then it's also going to sit there and tick off a few more. Now in this window, I'm going to show you what happens when you run a Netstat-N. It's going to give you the same information, but it's going to give it to you a lot more quickly. So that one is run completely, while the Netstat-A is still running. Now the difference here is Netstat.AN is going to not make the Netstat run a DNS on every single one of these web addresses. So here you have an IP address with an established connection to my computer, and not only is it giving the IP address, but it's also having DNS, or domain name service, resolve this IP address to an actual URL. And that takes a long time, so each one of these, it's doing that. That's why it's taking so long to run just the Netstat-A. When over here we have the Netstat-AN, and it's already completely run. Now the thing that I use Netstat for most often is to find suspicious connections to the internet. So my favorite combination of parameters to use for that is going to be Netstat, Netstat space -ANO, and that's going to give us all our active connections. It's not going to resolve the IP addresses to domain names, so it's going to give us the information much more quickly. And also, it is going to, that's finally finished. It's going to show us, and this is the most important part, displays the owning process identifier associated with each connection. So when you see the process identifier, what you can do to find out more about what that is go down to your taskbar and bring up your task manager. So if you're curious about what process ID, say 380 is, what you can do is scan down through the PID to 380, and you see here that it's showing you several things: Security Center, Windows Connection Manager, Home Group Provider, Event Log, DHCP Client, and Windows Audio. Now these are a lot of connections. The main thing that you're going to be looking for here is anything that looks very suspicious. If something doesn't seem spelled right, or if there's anything that's out of place, you're going to want to do a little bit more research. And there's not going to be anything on here that's flashing and says malware or a red exclamation point next to it. A lot of times what you're going to have to do is find something that looks suspicious, and based on the port number that it's listening on, the PID, and then the information that you're going to find here in your task manager, you should be able to go online and find a search engine and find out whether that's a legitimate process or service that's running, or whether it's a potentially unwanted application, service, or process that's running. And those can eat up a lot of your bandwidth. They can slow your connection down significantly. My name is Benton Foreman, and these have been some basics on the Netstat network utility. I hope you've enjoyed my presentation, and tune in for the next one. Thank you.